In this video, we're going to be going over the VBScript tool and possible functions that it can do in a BizWeaver workflow, and other solutions that you can use instead of the VBScript tool that may be just as useful to you. Now, in this specific workflow, we're doing a simple getting sales orders from SAP, looping through those sales orders, and creating a crystal report. Now, normally with crystal reports, you send them to via an email, or you save them in a specific folder in your crystal report, and that's going to be used for either archiving or accessing later. But normally after you're done with those files, you don't want them sitting in a folder for days or not being managed at all, because file management is important. They can pile up quite quickly. So what we're doing here is we're using a VBScript to move the files from our sales order folder and any PDF that is in that folder. So that's a wild card. So an asterisk will basically grab any file that is a PDF in that folder, and then we're going to be moving that folder to our sales order complete folder instead. Now, VBScript tool is it will run when you press OK. So if I hit OK, and if we look in our sales orders folder, we can see multiple crystal reports in there. So if I hit OK, and if we look in that folder, now they're all gone because it actually executed that VBScript and moved them. So if you ever have a VBScript and you hit OK and you notice that you get an error, it's because it's in this specific instance. So if I go back here and hit OK, it's going to say file not found because there are no files currently in that folder to move. So it's going to give you an error. But once files are populated there, it will run properly. Another thing about VBScript that is good to know is that it logs in as a user, as the BizWeaver user or the user on the server. So if you have two VBScripts running it simultaneously or at the same time, there's going to be a conflict, and one of them will run and one of them won't. So it's always best to stagger your VBScripts so that you don't get those conflicts. Now, to go over VBScript briefly, it stands for Visual Basic Script, and it's a programming language that has been around for a long time, and there are many solutions or functions that it can cover. That you can use in your BizWeaver workflows. Now, if you don't know how to program in VBScript, that's fine, because Google will cover pretty much everything you need to know. And if you put in what you need to do in Google, most likely there's a solution that was already created by somebody in a form somewhere that you can use and modify to your need. Now, there's also on our wiki, the wiki.twbs.com, and the BizWeaver section, you can go to the VBScript tool, and we have samples on the VBScript tool page that you can use for specific things. And now these are covering areas that we have found to be the most common. So covering dates and times, counting folders, getting objects in folders, or getting files in folders, and even replacing special characters in a folder replacing special characters in a file that you're using, so you can use that folder to either use that file to either insert into SAP or into a SQL table. Now, with this, the VBScript, if we open this up, it actually is going to it's going to run, as I mentioned, and it's going to move those files from one folder to another. But if we look at this other VBScript that I have here, the delete files, this is actually going to look if any items or any files in the sales order complete are older than 10 days. And every time we run this workflow, if there's anything older than 10 days, it's going to actually delete that file if it's older than the specified amount. Now, there's another tool within BizWeaver that can cover both these functions that won't have any VBScript knowledge required at all. So if we go ahead and create a link from our last VBScript and drop in a file operations tool, if we look at the operations drop-down menu, we can see that we can move or delete files, and with added logic with say a SQL command or other things that you can use in conjunction with our file operations tool, we can use this tool in lieu of the VBScript to make our workflow simpler. So we're not using the VBScript, and especially if we don't know how to use it, or if we're having trouble writing it specifically to our workflows. So you can move or delete files. And the great thing about actually moving or deleting files, or especially moving files, is you can rename them to whatever you need them to. So you can constantly keep adding a number to the end of it, or you can name it a new string. So or overwrite that file, so you don't have to put any logic in there. The logic's already built in. So while VBScript is a powerful tool, just note that there are many other, or at least one other tool within BizWeaver you can use, and we're always adding functionality to make BizWeaver more compatible with what you need to happen, and to make it easier to create workflows. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out through our support portal, or check out our wiki if you have any questions. Until then, I'll see you in the next video.